Hi there. Welcome to What Drives Me Crazy. Now, I'm kept meaning to make this video for a while, as it not only applies to like musical instrument stuff, but also the world in general. But not like crazy political stuff, but just practical things you see in the world. Stand by. Hi there. Can you see my face? Whether you want to or not. Here's the deal. This is what drives me. You know what drives me crazy in the real world? A couple things. Right off the bat, you know when you go to restaurants, wherever you go, a lot of restaurants do this. They have disposable gloves that they put on. They're, what would they be? Polyethylene? They put on gloves, right? Because they assume that everything will be cleaner. Whatever sandwich and stuff they're making. I'm going to talk about this symbol in a few minutes. Look at that. Alrighty. You go to restaurants, and what happens is you go there, and you'll know if you're not paying attention. See, a lot of people don't pay attention to this stuff. They'll see those gloves and think, I'm in better hands, right? Okay. Well, the thing is, let me tell you about something with those gloves in restaurants. I'm a germaphobe. Not in the sense that, like if I see blood and stuff, it doesn't bother me. But if, like, this drives me crazy. Like sand drives me crazy. If I'm out on a beach, it doesn't drive me crazy. But you can bet before we get back in the car, like with the family, that I'm taking everybody and I'm wiping their feet off and getting between their toes. Because, you know, when you go swimming and stuff, even though you're dried off and you assume all the sand's off you, it's not. It's crustified to skin. You got to get between toes. And I always tell other people, like, listen, if you're in the bathroom, make sure your private parts are clean. Because sand gets everywhere. Because I don't like the thought. It drives me crazy. If I'm laying in bed, right, and there's one sand globule, I'll feel it, man. It's like Princess and the Pea. Drives me insane in the membrane. But anyway, back to the gloves. What happens with the gloves is, do you know, all right, let's just put it this way. Let's say you're cleaning the yard, and it's a fall day, and it's sort of muddy and stuff, and if you don't have gloves on, like talking regular gloves, you know, eventually you'll get frustrated and you'll start picking stuff up and put it in those long bags or whatever, and you get crap all over your fingers. It might occur to you if you're germaphobe or not, whether there might be some like squirrel shite or dog shite in it, and, you know. And eventually what happens is you're like, well, when I start doing the yard, I'm going to wear gloves. So you go and you get like the $2 pair from like Menards or whatever. They're usually black or brown, and they're sort of thin. They rip easily, but they do the job. They get wet easily, which is a bummer. Like suddenly they're all sopping wet and you keep doing it. But that mental process takes over when people have gloves on in restaurants when they're making your food. When you have gloves on and you're doing stuff like out and cleaning the yard and stuff, which most people do, if they're going to do anything physical, even the Joe Blow person, it's probably yard work. They're going to have gloves on. Well, you're likely to grab stuff otherwise you might not grab. Like with gloves on, then you're going to pick stuff up, you're going to put it in the thing, you're going to push it down. You know what I mean? If there's like birds, you might wipe it off and be like, you know, make sure I'm not going to, you know, and you do this and you do that. The same thing happens when people have gloves on. Those gloves are ultimately designed, or the policy is that each and every time they're supposed to put on a new pair. But keep an eyeball on people at like counters and stuff that wear gloves. Watch them. They get the same sort of mental thing they get as if they're out doing yard work. I'm dead serious. They'll start like they'll be at the counter, they'll put their hands on the counter and stuff, and sometimes they might be like this, or they'll see something. I mean, I've seen people grab stuff and put it in the garbage, and I swear to God, the employees often, subconsciously, it's not their fault, it's just the way it is when you have gloves on. They'll touch stuff they normally wouldn't if they didn't have the gloves on. That's true. There could be a study here, and I'm fully qualified. Because back in the day, when I was little, I used to actually get crap for when I was little, and I would go to the bathroom. I'm talking little, man, and I'd go and I'd wash my hands, and in those days, I guess they still had, you know, you get paper towel things. Sometimes in those days, they'd have a rag that would not recirculate, it'd be clean, but actually, like, you'd pull it down like chunk, and you'd dry your hands, and chunk, one more, right? And then eventually the dirty would go in the back. It would loop into the dirty spool, and they'd swap them out. Also, too, they had the hand dryers that I think were made in Bellwood, Illinois. You know, they were the sort of the white ones. And then, later they still have them. But also, too, paper towels were always preferred. Why? Because they dry your hands, but then with that paper towel, you can flush the urinal or flush the toilet. When you wash your hands, you can... The key is when you're washing your hands, especially in a public bathroom, what a lot of people make the mistake of is they wash their hands, right? Their hands are all juicy wet. You just finish washing your hands and you reach up to you turn it off. Shunk, what you've just done there with water that's all over your hands. What is it? Not hydrostatic pressure. What is it when water, if like water's on a straw and you go like this, it doesn't fall, but it goes down the straw. You know what I mean? Water's already on your hands. So you're touching those handles that are already crusty. Who knows what people might have done, right? So now your hands are wet with contamination from the handles. Then you push the button on the thing, which probably has some debris on it, and you dry your hands, kind of, sort of. Your hands are most people, they are. The hands are kind of, sort of dry. Grab the handle of the bathroom, open it up. Your right hand, or whatever hand you open the door with now, has a stripe of major bacteria on it. It does. You walk out. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for it. You do have to expose yourself to bacteria and bacterium. You do. Like when I first heard the study that when people go to the bathroom, like in bathrooms, public bathrooms typically, where they have a high-powered jet in the toilet, where it's like, that there's airborne particles, often of feces, etc., that float around. Now, you'll get enough of that anyway when you're in the bathroom, right? My point is with the hands and stuff, I guess you'd rather just get microparticles of often just feces than the likelihood of like colds and flus and viri that you might also get in addition to poopies and crusties from handles and spigots. You know what I'm saying? So my advice, anyway, I used to get shite when I was little. I would literally grab the paper towel and I would open the door with this prophylactic of paper towel. I'm dead serious. I used to get shite for that. And now it's like the recommended thing to do. So what I'm saying is I am qualified. I am a qualified germ expert, okay? By the way, I remember after I found out about the particles going in the air, I was in a band with a guy, Jimmy. He bought me one of those toothbrush things where after you brush your teeth, you can put it in there and encapsulate it, and, to keep all the shite off the brush. Anyway, so back to the gloves. So what I'm saying is, seriously, watch at a store, whatever sandwich shop or whatever you're at. Keep an eye sometime. There are some people that are very conscientious and will change them all the time. I guarantee there's a bunch of people, and it's not their fault, whether they're not trained to really understand. Like, I think there's not a protocol that's really taught to employees that really should mention this. Like, the gloves aren't there for you to slip sort of like you're doing yard work, and you can wipe the counter off and, grab something and, have somebody be like, like fix your hat and, because you got gloves on, you know what I mean? You're touching food, right? I'm serious. So that's that. See, handles. Yeah, handles. Think about handles, especially too. And one thing I will say, remember the mechanism is if you want to avoid getting sick, and I've been doing it for years, I have to knock on wood. These are acrylic, so I'm going to knock on this wood shell. The key is, in the wintertime, or indeed in general ever, do not rub your eyes. Do not pick your nose. Apart from it just being gross, I must confess, sometimes I, like all human beings, I will admit, there are times I will insert a clean finger in my nose if there's a globule in there that will not come out with a tissue. Everybody does this. Sometimes it's better if you do take a tissue, because the dry tissue as a membrane between your finger and the nose will attract the booger to the rag, you throw it out. That's a fact. I'm just being honest. I know it's gross, but you are throwing boulders from glass houses if you blow me crap about it, because you know you do it too. But, remember, don't touch anywhere here, because that's why when you get like Afrin and Sudafrin or whatever, and you're like, your nose and your nostrils and your eyes and your mouth, indeed your mouth and your ears are delivery mechanisms. Those can pull, like if you have some virus or something on your finger and you wipe your nose, putting it on that membrane in your nose, it's going to get sucked right into your stream. So the key is do not touch anything up here. I see people all the time at the end of a day, like teachers at the end of a day at work, they sit down and they're like, oh, and they start rubbing that's how you get sick, man. I'm telling you. I think even eating, well, obviously too, like you put, something under your tongue, right? You put, sometimes you put medicine under your tongue, like a nitroglycerin tab or something, or, sometimes those little amoxicillin, like anti-sickness things you put under your tongue. But I think if you drink, let's say something that has something in it, like a virus or something, possibly the stomach acid. In other words, I think it's, putting it in your mouth or swallowing the virus juice or whatever is probably not as efficient as it is sticking your finger in your nose or in your eyes, is what I'm saying. So you really have to pay attention to that. What else drives me crazy? That's Germtown. Something else drives me crazy town, too. I don't know. Well, let's just say that. So that's it for now, because there's a lot of things that drive me and us crazy. So check this out. I said I was going to talk about this. This is, and I've been looking for the ad in the Modern Drummer from 25 years ago. There was a period of time, and it was before Ludwig reissued the Bonham configuration. PAISTE offered a set. I can't remember if it was just like 100 sets that they were selling, or they were giving one away or whatever. PAISTE 2002, like it was a Bonham pack. Now, I'm not talking about the one from 2002 or the one that came out hand in hand when Ludwig did the Bonham pack. It was before that. And I've been looking for the ad. I know it was in a drum magazine I had, and I can't find it. PAISTE Bob at one time got his hands on. This is an 18-inch medium, because remember, Bonham played 18-inch medium 2002 and 20-inch medium, okay? Sometimes you'll read in some literature that it was a 2002 ride model. Remember, back in those days, a 2002 ride model was a hell of a lot thinner than the ride models, 18-inch ride models that came out in the later 70s into the 80s, 90s, and indeed even to now. Okay, they beefed them up. So this is an 18-inch medium. And the neat thing about this, if you weren't really looking, you'd think this is a 1980 and before 2002. It has the proper ink stamp here, like literally the 70s ink stamp. It doesn't have the 18 here, though. There's no size mentioned under the cup. And then it does say the medium ink stamp and the PAISTE 2002 ink stamp. But what it does not have is the embossed stamp in the top there. They didn't do that on these reissues from the early 90s, I'm telling you, early mid-90s. And what it does have to sort of differentiate, there is two words here, Swiss made, which is not in an ink stamp because they didn't have a Swiss made ink stamp. It's in the regular sort of screen letter screen, like they do on a t-shirt kind of thing. So there it is. Let's hear it, shall we? We're going to, hang on, put that up. Stand by. Yes, sir, that is the sweet spot. So you're playing the drums, you're a righty, the sweet spot is there, literally. So you got to be careful when you have your sticks. So again, PAISTE Bob came over yesterday. PAISTE Bob hand-delivered to me. He gave these to me. This is a pair of Ludwig Joe Morello, new old stock Ludwig sticks. God, I love that old logo. And I always preferred the blue ink that was on the sticks. When I had my Bonzoleum JB2As custom made, they were expensive. That's why they were $20 a pair, because it cost me up the wazoo to make them. I didn't even cover my costs then. I really wanted the blue ink on them like this, but anyway. So, Bob came over yesterday, God love him, gave me these, and I bought this from him, okay? Now, I had this back in the day when I made some videos. If you look back in my videos, maybe 12, 13, or 14, where I have a bunch of 18-inch PAISTEs around. You're welcome, PAISTE. I love you, though. This is one of them, the exact symbol. So let's hear this, okay? Ready? Now, remember, let's get you used to the volume. Watch your volume. So I'm going to play soft. Okay, so here we go. Stay there. This is reality television. Now, this, in fact, is the Fayette Facts. The Fayette Facts. The Fayette Facts. Come on. Hang on. It's the Fayette Facts. The Fayette Facts. All right, so here we go. This one is my baby. This is a genuine 1976 medium, okay? PAISTE 2002 medium black label. Identical in inking and stuff to that guy, except, like I said, it does not have the Swiss made, because this is genuine. It has the 18 under the bell. And it does have the embossed stamp, which is so beautiful, man. I kind of wish they still did that. Never seemed to structurally, I think they did because people might have perceived it structurally sort of attack the symbol. I mean, Zildjian still always did it, and indeed they still kind of do it with the numbers. I think they should do that again. I know people used to panic. Sometimes you'd see old Zildjian Ks, like from Istanbul, or Constantinople that were so thin, and they put the thing in where the little moon would fall out and stuff. I don't think that is true. I've never seen a 2002 or any PAISTE crack because of the emboss. I think they should do that again. It's very classy. It's value added. So here we are. This one is 1473 grams. And this one, I think, is 1510. Bob will correct me. He'll chime in. But it's heavier. All right, ready? So here's this one. And then this one. They're pretty damn close. All right, here's the bell. The bell. Those are damn close in weight and stuff. All right, so. Yes, sir. If you want the song remains the same, cymbal sound. That's some serious alliteration. Get yourselves 14, maybe 60, 1470 to 1510-ish, 1520-ish, 2218. Whatever the hell it says on it. If it says medium or crash, remember the later crashes will be about this weight, okay? What's up? There you go. So that's the video. More videos on the way, including more covers. And that's it. So, I do have to plug this. Now, here's the deal. I have to say this. For the love of God, this is very important. I know people love the Bonzoleum channel. I know I do a good job with Bonham. I'm pretty good. Like, I kind of really know my shite. The fact of the matter is George Flutis is like, apart from just being, he's a gigging drummer who has mountains of technique, he also is more of a Zeppelin fan by measurable criteria than I am. He's a hell of a lot more familiar with the bootlegs. He's at the very least just as familiar. I'll say we're even with like what you notice what they're playing in the studio and cool stuff in the studio. He's probably more familiar with information about Bonham that we garnered over the years from books we used to have to read. Now you can find it instantaneously on your laptop or your computer or your phone. In those days, you had to go out and read the magazines and books. Okay. And so look up right now on Bonzology, bear with me, Bonzology with Terry and George. George, about a week ago, not even, did a how many more times, okay? A drum cover of how many more times from the Royal Albert Hall in 1970. You gotta hear this, okay? The link is, I'm gonna put it down below in the info, right at the top, and off to the, and there's gonna be a gray sort of question mark or something that appears in the screen up here. It'll say it there. I mean, those are called cards. There's going to be 4 other ones, too, which I'm going to direct you to Bonzology. And even my drum covers, if you want to watch them. So thank you for watching. More videos on the way. Please subscribe. And by all means, check out that how many more times with Flutis playing the Royal Albert Hall drum cover he did on Bonzology with Terry and George. Thank you.